evening, News Extra family. It's another Wednesday night and the time for the news with the extra touch. Well, your regular anchor, Fatima, has been away for 2 Wednesdays in a row, but not to worry, News Extra will not go anywhere. And tonight, like all Wednesday nights, it's a beautiful package of stories ranging from governance, development, economy, security, agriculture, education, and much more. Tonight, we start from the Federal Executive Council, where an approval for the issuance of Eurobonds has been given. The National Assembly has been busy since the 2 chambers reconvened last week. We also have something on the minimum wage. Also tonight, Information and Culture Minister is on with more on the now high-flying Executive Order 6. In fact, let me pause here before I bore you with the lineup. But be rest assured, there is much more and quite interesting too. Like we always tell you here, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. So sit back and enjoy tonight's edition of the program. I'm Elizabeth Stober, and this is News Extra. The Federal Executive Council has approved the issuance of Eurobonds and other securities from the international capital market valued at $2.9 billion. Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed, who announced this while briefing journalists after the meeting of the Federal Executive Council, said another $60 million facility has also been approved for the Livelihood Improvement Family Enterprise Project in the Niger Delta. State House correspondent Adam Sombo reports on these and resolutions of the nation's highest decision policy-making body.
Finance, economy and labor matters dominated discussions as President Muhammadu Buhari took charge of the council meeting that lasted over 3 hours. The approval for the issuance of the $2.9 billion in Euro bonds, members believe, will go a long way towards ensuring the implementation of the external borrowing plan of over 849 billion naira provided for in the 2018 Appropriation Act.
And this is to fund capital projects in the 2018 budget. We also got approval to raise the sum of $82.54 million to bridge the shortfall of the 500 million euro bond that matured on the 12th of July 2018.
Consequently, 6 advisory groups have been engaged as transaction parties at 374.8 million naira. The council also approved a $60 million facility for the Livelihood Improvement Family Enterprise Project, a life enhancement scheme in the Niger Delta.
The project will be implemented in the Niger Delta states of Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Imo, Ondo, and Rivers states. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development is the lead implementing agency.
The philosophy now is for the government to handwork younger people into industry and into economic livelihood and survival. And that's why, in partnership with the Ministry of Finance, they process the loans, foreign loans, and we then administer to make economic activity much greater in the villages. This loan has come to support part of it in the Niger Delta.
Meanwhile, determined to put a stop to illegal importation of rice in Nigeria in view of its negative consequences on the economy, the Federal Executive Council granted a request for the procurement of...
The area is the area of public servants remaining permanently in the executive bodies of trade unions under the guise that they are doing trade union activities. Government says no.
Other contentious issues addressed in the white paper include tenureship for all elective positions in labor unions, abuse of private practice by health professionals in public institutions, the issue of collective bargaining agreement, as well as the Yale Ahmed report on intra-professional rivalry in the health sector. In the meantime, presidential spokesman Garba Shehu reacted to criticisms on the implementation of the Executive Order No. 6, describing them as baseless and diversionary.
The order had been well thought out. It has now been tested in court. It has been proven to be legal, constitutional, and implementable. The Nigerian masses are yearning for 4 more years of Buhari following that order alone.
Malam Garba Shehu expressed the belief that attacks on Executive Order number 6 only come from the nation's elites, but the downtrodden who have been cheated over the years are not only happy with the initiative, but yearn for more. As the saying goes, when the rich also cry, hope for the poor gets brighter. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Still on the economy, this time at the National Assembly, the beauty of democracy is its principle of checks and balances, as the three institutions of government, executive, legislature, and the judiciary act as checks on each other to ensure good governance. One of such checks on the executive by the legislature is the approval of external borrowing by the executive. To this end, the Senate at Wednesday's plenary approved the request of President Muhammadu Buhari for the external capital rising of $2.7 billion United States dollars for the international capital market as approved in the 2018 budget. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unkwo reports.
From Mr. President requesting Senate's approval to raise $2.78 billion United States dollars from the international capital market aptly captured the essence of the foreign loan. And that is basically to fund the deficit and key infrastructure projects in the 2018 budget.
And two, that the Senate do approve the issuance of $82.54 million US dollars to refinance the balance of the $500 million matured euro bond in the international capital market,
particularly to fund the capital aspect of the 2018 appropriation.
All the committees are going to carry oversight to ensure that these previous loans have been properly utilized.
The first matter of urgent national importance came from Senator Theodore Orji on the need for the Senate to carry out an investigation on the remote and immediate causes of the pipeline explosion on the 12th of August 2018 that killed more than 150 persons in Osisoma local government area of Abia State.
NEMA should send relief materials to the devastated communities. 2. NNPC and PPMC to commence immediate repairs on the leaking pipelines.
That a delegation be sent not only to both to the Abia State government and the community.
Senate observed a minute silence in honor of those who lost their lives in the pipeline explosion and the late former Senator Cyrus Nunez from Rivers State. The Senate also resolved to investigate alleged illicit and excessive charges on the use of automated teller machines, ATM, by banks as it urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to suspend ATM card maintenance charges and reconfigure their machines to be able to dispense up to 40,000 naira per withdrawal till the investigation is concluded. Senator Olubenga Ashafa moved the motion.
Another Nigerian, Eniola, who lives in Qatar, stated that banks in Qatar do not charge customers for the
Minority Leader of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, in a briefing with National Assembly correspondents, described his new political party, the All Progressives Congress, as the best political platform to empower his people.
I believe it's important for us to stabilize Nigeria before we start thinking of election. I believe it's important for the federal government to be supported to succeed.
Senator Akpabio commended the Buhari administration for the ongoing roads and railway projects in Akwa Ibom State and the South-South in general. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Unkwo, NTA News.
In the meantime, the bicameral legislature today held a crucial meeting with the executive to sort out some key pressing issues. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has details of this on Wednesday's plenary at the House of Representatives.
Which later went into closed door, had in attendance both the Senate and House leaders, Minister of Budget and National Planning, that of Finance, the Debt Management Office, and the Special Assistants to the President on National Assembly matters.
The meeting we are holding today is no different from other meetings we have always been holding in the past, where we have to discuss serious matters with the executive.
Meanwhile, Wednesday's plenary passed its second reading a bill for an act to provide for the management, administration, regulation and supervision of payments, clearing and settlement systems in Nigeria, sponsored by Representative Jones Onyeriri.
The purpose, Mr. Speaker, of this bill, which is the National Payment Systems Management Bill, include ensuring nationally utilized and internationally recognized payment system, which encompasses the total payment process from issuance of instructions to final settlement.
It's a known fact that the financial inclusion in Nigeria is at a abysmally very low ratio, and IPAS will surely give the legal framework and regulatory framework that is required and the backing that CBN require.
The bill seeks to ensure uniformity, eliminate abuses, and instill confidence on payments in the banking sector through commercial banks and the Central Bank of Nigeria. Also passed its second reading was a bill for an act to establish Chartered Institute of Directors, which aims at determining the standards of knowledge and skills of those seeking to become directors in the public and private sectors. The House also referred to the Committee on Tertiary and Education Services a bill for an act to amend the Federal Polytechnics Act, sponsored by Representative Mayowa Akinfolarunwa, after it passed second reading. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now, there can never be enough funds for any government to carry out its programs of development. So, when an opportunity comes to earn more revenue, it's a thing of joy not only for the government, but for the citizenry whose welfare is the whole idea of governance. So, I can practically perceive the excitement rippling through government circles and the populace following a Supreme Court judgment ordering the enforcement of a law that grants more oil revenue share to Nigeria. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewo says in the landmark judgment by a panel of 7 justices led by the Chief Justice of Nigeria this Wednesday, the federal government is now to enforce Section 16, subsection 1 of the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contract. Femi, break it down for the rest of us unlearned colleagues.
About 5 decades now, Nigeria has slept on her rights over a law that has the capacity of changing the country's economic fortunes. Section 16, subsection 1 of the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contract of the laws of the Federation has to the effect an obligation on the oil companies to adjust the share of the Federation if the price of crude oil at any time exceeds $20 per barrel. Realizing how the non-implementation of this provision of the law has shortchanged their states, the Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa and Rivers state governments in July 2015 dragged the federal government before the Supreme Court, urging the nation's apex court in exercising its constitutional original jurisdiction to compel the federal government and the oil companies to implement that law. But the federal government, even though a defendant in this matter, saw reasons with the action and therefore decided to reach a settlement with the plaintiffs. It is this settlement that was brought before the Supreme Court to be adopted as an order of the court in a public interest litigation case filed by a team of Nigerian lawyers.
Essentially, to the Federation account and will be beneficial to the federated states of this country.
But before the Supreme Court could come up with the order, some oil companies using the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry sought to be brought in as interveners with the aim of stopping the Supreme Court's adoption of the settlement. But the Supreme Court dismissed that application on the grounds of being an abused court process and from a busybody, awarding a cost of 2 million naira to be paid to each of the 2 defendants. The next stage will therefore be how the country sits with these oil companies and ensures that what is duly the right of Nigeria is accrued to her. From the Supreme Court, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
And it is a known fact that for government to implement its policies and programs, public servants must be involved, as they are the tools that will work out the process. Minister of Labour and Employment, in a message to the National Negotiating Council at its 2018 separate meeting, said government is ready to prioritize the welfare of its workforce for better performance. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday tells us more.
National Public Service Negotiating Council has from inception been an instrument for collective bargaining and consultation between the government and organized labor. Drawn from all the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, members are here to deliberate on issues bordering on condition of service and the welfare of workers. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, said our office is working on innovative public service to meet up with new trends.
2017 to 2020 Federal Civil Service Strategy and Implementation Plan. This plan is targeted at transforming and repositioning the Federal Civil Service to a modern public service organization that provides world-class service for sustainable national development.
I therefore enjoin the Council to sustain the cordial relationship between government and labor for the overall benefit of civil servants and in the interest of the service.
With a standing ovation, members received the message of assurance from the federal government.
Mr. President has insisted that the outcome definitely has to lead to an increase in the national minimum wage that will have consequential adjustment at all levels, and it will affect all salary structures.
Participants agreed that sustaining industrial harmony in the public sector is imperative for achieving federal government's change agenda for national development.
Workers are the wealth creators of the economy, so they deserve a fair deal.
The best option is always dialogue, and this opportunity of negotiation is a very apt thing.
Reward and recognition system is one of the programs being designed for workers' motivation. In Abuja, Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Up ahead on News Extra, Executive Order 6 is not a witch hunt. Find out who has been saying this after these messages.
Time to explore. Looks like a fun way to learn. Awesome! And this, I can learn new language. We are music. And I can learn to play an instrument too. Cool! Games everywhere. Wow! Freebies! Free data, WhatsApp, and birthday credits? I love it here. I'm never leaving.
Play, explore, and learn with MTN M-Pulse.
The Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, invites the general public to the 16th meeting of the National Council on Science and Technology. Date, 22nd to 24th October 2018. Venue, Tower Conference Hotel along Lafia Makurdi Road, Lafia, Nasarawa State. Time 9 a.m. daily. Theme, enhancing Nigeria's competitiveness in all sectors of the economy through effective deployment of science, technology, and innovation. Members of the council and stakeholders are requested to submit memoranda in soft and hard copies to the Secretariat. For further inquiries, please contact the following: Bitrus Bako Nabasu, Permanent Secretary, Announcer.
ITF, developing the nation's human resource.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, Jenny. Can you supply 1,000 bottles of juice by noon?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, bye.
Hello?
One day, I go any store and say I want everything.
Jenny, auntie, please, I need a loan.
One day, anything I want,
hurry up.
Get it times 2. Someday.
In terms of up to 10 years, please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
The Honorable Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udoma CON, hereby invites the organized private sector, development partners, captains of industry, civil society organizations, media practitioners, and the general public to a consultative forum on the 2019-2021 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper. Date, Thursday, 18th October 2018. Time, 9 a.m. prompt. Venue, Rotunda Conference Hall, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Abuja. Ben Akabweze, Director General, Budget Office of the Federation. Announcer.
Don't you know? Time that money, so use them well. Don't you know? And I will never let you down.
Enjoy free 250 MB every week just by recharging on Airtel Recharge Plus. Dial star 479 hash to know more.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
If you're just joining us, this is NTA News Extra. Now, a 3-day international Sheroes Forum is ongoing in Monrovia, Liberia. The conference is bringing together former female leaders in Africa, such as former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, former President of Malawi Joyce Banda, and former Vice President of Zimbabwe Joyce Majuru. Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and host President George Weah, along with other dignitaries, were honored for their support for women's advancement. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that discussion at the forum is on why female representation in political leadership is reducing and what can be done to advance participation in leadership.
The drum will continue to sound until everyone dances to the beat, so say participants at the Sheroes Forum in Monrovia, Liberia.
This forum should be seen as a wake-up call to women leaders, state actors, and civil society.
The load is not lighter when you do it yourselves. We are there to lift the load together.
It is my sincere hope that our African governments will put more focus and investment in educating girls if we have to create an environment where women can succeed into leadership callings.
To reach for your life dreams, rise up to leadership. Do not limit yourself. You can be anything you want to be.
And so the only way we can achieve our collective goal is to work together in unison.
The call for the participation of more women in leadership goes beyond gender equality, but a desire for a wider space to contribute to the progress of the society and the advancement of the African continent and its people. And this is the position of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo of Nigeria.
When women and girls are free to reach their full potentials, to get education and to earn equal pay, and to aspire and attain the highest political positions, not once in a while, but all the time, then the full potential of the other half of the population of the world will be unleashed. The implications of such a development for a vastly improved quality of life for all of us can only be imagined.
For this belief in the just cause for women and demonstrating this in the Buhari administration's social investment programs, the Vice President, along with the Liberian President, also an advocate of the rights of women, receives recognition from the Shiros.
I wish to declare myself as Liberian female chief.
This done even through the social intervention programs has been outstanding. The majority of the beneficiaries are females. Even with the Empower program, we have huge numbers of females, and empowering females, as is always said, is empowering the family, the community, and the country.
It appears there is a crack in the glass ceiling now as more people are getting involved in the movement. From Monrovia, Liberia, it's Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says the Executive Order 6 is not in any way a plot to witch hunt political opponents, as it is being rumoured. The minister made this clarification while responding to questions shortly after addressing an audience in Chatham House, London. Anthony Forson reports.
Offered the minister the opportunity to speak to the global audience as he reflected on the importance of providing detailed and consistent information across Nigeria's diverse population and his ministry's challenges for the facilitation of national unity ahead of the 2019 elections and beyond. Giving a blow-by-blow account of the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration, the minister explained that Nigeria was in a bad shape, but with the coming into power of President Muhammadu Buhari, Nigeria has stabilized, with efforts heightened to consolidate on the gains recorded. The minister pointed at insecurity, weak economy, infrastructure decay, and disillusionment in the city.
Power and other similar projects. But it's not enough to embark on these projects. It is important to let the public know the extent and spread of such projects to foster a sense of national unity.
Taking turns to put the minister on the spot, questions that border on Executive Order 6 took the center stage.
Now, as soon as the order was proclaimed, some people went to court. And because they went to court, the government could not implement that order. But last week, the court ruled in favor of government, and government said, look, this is time to implement the order. I think that's all about it. It's not about any new list of 50 people. No, it's simply that the Executive Order number 6 has now become operative. I think that is all.
The government's sincerity on its anti-graft war was not left out.
To say that we should stop chasing those who are corrupt, I think to become counterproductive, because you have been nothing for you to even execute your programs.
The true situation of insurgency in the country, growing the economy, were all issues that were raised, but the minister's response to all these issues earned him applause from his audience. In London, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Still on the Executive Order 6, it is widely held that when you fight corruption, it fights back. This many are linking to the hue and cry over the Executive Order 6 signed by President Muhammadu Buhari that was challenged in court. We all know that last week, the Federal High Court in Abuja ruled in favor of the policy to rid Nigeria of corruption. But why the seeming fear over the Executive Order 6. Talatu Ezerike tells us.
Corruption, a global phenomenon, many say, slowed down Nigerians' advancement. Yes, time was when Nigeria was an investment hub and a leading economy to countries like Indonesia and South Korea. This, the present government is tackling head-on, especially with the Executive Order 6. However, the Executive Order 6 is one that has attracted huge debate that led to litigation that was ruled in favor of the policy. Words are now matched with action, as no fewer than 50 high-profile persons are on watch list and restricted from traveling out of the country pending the determination of their cases.
They are already in trial and the courts have said, hold on to this property pending when this trial is over. It's the courts. They have the last say.
There are again cries and complaints in certain quarters by those who see the policy as a witch hunt or wrong timing.
You don't want corruption. I said that when somebody is fighting, you say, well, it's because they are opponent. Oh, it's because election is coming. If he didn't do it before, they are accusing him of AB. Because I remember all the work we did to ensure that at the beginning that there was naming and shaming. Just at the 11th hour, some people prevail on the president. And the naming and shaming the naming and shaming technique went out the window.
For me, this is my own opinion. It doesn't matter where you start as long as you're not going after an innocent person.
For others, the Executive Order 6 is one that should be celebrated in fast-tracking investment.
We have to fight corruption. If we do not fight corruption, there will be no direct foreign investments. And I can tell you that since the coming into power of President Buhari, a lot of investors have come into the country because of the fight against corruption.
The consensus is that the fight against corruption is a collective one in building a better Nigeria. Talat Ezerike, NTA News.
Ogun State Governor Senator Ibikule Amosu has reacted to the reports in some sections of the media that he had been prevailed upon by some party leaders in the state to support the purported emergence of Prince Dapo Abiodun as the gubernatorial candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC. In a statement, the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Otumba Dayo Adenie, says the allegation is nothing but another political propaganda to tarnish the image of Governor Amosu, who stands solidly behind the duly elected consensus candidate of the APC, Honorable Adekule Akinlade. He employed political actors to be wary of statements that could demarcate the state and reverse the enormous gains of the recent years. Now, you may be fully conversant with the law of reciprocity in mutual exchanges, which stresses the spirit of responding to a positive action with another positive action. Well, the people of Nasarawa State say because the federal government has done well in the state by providing development across key social and economic sectors, they will reciprocate in 2019 with the permanent voter cards so that, like Oliver Twist, they will expect more. Hamza Musa Makarfi will now show us how deserving President Muhammadu Buhari is of the people's support.
The people of Nasarawa State who cherish their agrarian setting are at home on the strength of their commitments and trust the inspired leadership and integrity of President Buhari,
whose main preoccupation at all times is the ultimate thing to the ordinary man. What are those intrinsic and real issues that benefit the ordinary man?
In defining the leadership vision, the government has gone to work. The Wamba Bokos Road project is in the news. It was an abundant project with 1.8 billion naira unaccounted. Buhari administration revived it and work is progressing steadily.
It will help the villagers to bring out their products to the market, and also the sick people who are suffering will enjoy it and we appreciate it. Both the governor and the president will appreciate their own effort. May God bless them in all what they are doing.
The success story is being replicated on the long-standing Nasarawa local road and the bridge infrastructure to provide alternative route to eastern part of Nigeria. Similarly, preliminary engagements have been concluded and contractors await financial mobilization for the reconstruction of Akwanga Lafia to Makod Road, among others. The new Lafia highest electricity voltage infrastructure is another game changer for the economy and social well-being of the people. With funding available, Nasarawa State handed over Farirua Dam to the federal government for potable water and agricultural development.
We have always appealed to our people to be patient. Government will soon come in, and today God has answered our prayers. We are so grateful to His Excellency Maritime and of course the President too, for looking at rural communities and also to take care of their interests.
The people of Nasarawa State say the benefits of their participation under the Buhari administration is not just about the density of infrastructure, agriculture, and safety net programs. They can also sleep with their two eyes closed and wake up to do businesses unhindered. In Lafia, Hamza Musa Magharibi, NTA News.
Now, when last did you go for a medical checkup? Pretty long time ago, or maybe never. Well, if you're careless about your own health, then how much more the world around you? This perhaps explains why lack of maintenance culture is fast becoming a norm for many Nigerians. Now, in this report, Joseph Johnson sought to bring this very trend to the fore with the hope of discouraging it. Take a look.
Destroying something huge or of a great value due to negligence, many say, is reflective in most Nigerians' private and public lives.
This nonchalant attitude towards health, personal belongings, the environment, government's infrastructure contributes to the anomalies and disasters witnessed in the society today.
Maintenance culture in Nigeria is very, very terrible.
It's a bane of the Nigerian polity and governance. Go to schools, go to workplaces, this is the federal secretariat, go to the sanitary, their toilets and all of that. You can't even go in there. But again, you want to wonder, those who put up the building would have had a plan to maintain such places.
In any way we find ourselves, whether in the marketplace, whether in the office, whether in the school or in the government, we need to be conscious of how we keep our environment.
This is Abuja National Stadium. It is relatively still in a state of disrepair. A typical example of a poorly maintained facility. Rated as one of the most expensive in the world, sadly, the stadium's environment now cannot be described as a world-class.
Although the Buhari's administration is stepping up efforts in developing critical infrastructure, there are calls from development partners for a blend of the past with the present in terms of maintenance.
The campaign is still on. It was also run in the state levels. It's something which the National Orientation Agency is doing. We have developed flyers and we have messages that we are sending out. And the radio in particular, if you are listening to MRCN, has been helping us a great deal in sending out these messages of imbibing the correct attitude in maintenance culture and in maintenance of public assets, so that in as much as we are also going to maintain our own personal assets.
Nigerians are expected to be partners in this great task of learning and inculcating maintenance culture for the general well-being of everyone. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
I tell you, imbibing the maintenance culture sure saves money too. Food for thought there. Now, upholding the rights and dignity of every Nigerian is what the Nigerian Army has pledged, especially as it tries to unravel the whereabouts of Major General Alkali, who has been missing for some time now. Concerned about the search and fears of human rights abuses, the Executive Secretary, National Human Rights Commission, Anthony Ojukwu, has visited the Army top brass in Jos, who say there is no cause for alarm. Rinrat Silvanus Lot was there and tells us more.
The Executive Secretary of the Commission to 3 Armored Division Rukuba, Headquarters of Operation Safe Haven, and Commissioner of Police Plateau State Command Prominent in all the visit is to emphasize the sanctity of life in every security operation and observation of best practices. The security heads on their part assured the Executive Secretary that no one will be unduly victimized in the course of their operation.
We have been appealing that to the community that they have nothing to fear. This is a highly professional army that does most of its things with intelligence.
How we appeal to you to push for is that citizens' responsibility to security. Because all of us are citizens of this country.
It would be too wrong and also against our own human rights if you have to be talking for us.
Afterwards, the GOC 3 Armored Division took the Executive Secretary and his team to the said pond where he also met with some residents of the community. At the end of the visit, the human rights boss sums up his visit this way.
Everybody has assured us they are going to do whatever it takes to make sure that peace is fully restored. All the commanders have assured us that their men are committed to the respect for human rights.
Our crew, however, observed that the community has become a shadow of itself as its usual human and vehicular activity were missing. In Jos, Rinred Silvanus Lot, NTA News.
Now, the Nigerian Air Force quest to reposition the force through capacity building initiatives has received a further boost with the winging of another combat pilot officer, Salihu Usman, who recently completed his basic fighter introduction course in the United States of America. A statement by the force spokesperson, Air Commodore Ibukule Daramola, indicates that the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, disclosed that 91 pilots have been winged in the past 3 years, besides 67 officers currently undergoing training in various flying institutions, both within and outside the country. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, commended the dedication, hard work and determination exhibited by the officer, urging him to sustain the level of commitment to duty. The Air Chief noted that with the kind support of the federal government, the Air Force is to receive additional combat platforms of the A-29 Super Tucano and JF-17 Thunder multi-role fighter, with a view to improving the ability of the force to be more effective in responding to national security imperatives. Coming up in a moment, some business news plus Abuja Airport. After high safety rating, what are we going to have? Lower fares? Find out when we return.
We hail. Those who divide our people are getting better at their game. Yet, now we did do ourselves pass. Lecturer they oppress student them. Bus driver they show passenger where. Local government people are terrifying local government people. Campaign people will come and go. Grammar people will remain. So now, many people have become Uncle Thomases, unwilling to desire or work for a better nation. We must continue to push and believe, and small, our prayers will be answered. This education you go get out. These children, them go grow and prosper. And this business, it not go spoil for your hand, because Union Bank understands what it means to push through challenges, and together we go clear every doubt when they are our way. Don't be an Uncle Thomas. Union Bank, your simpler, smarter bank.
Forum to celebrate the uniqueness of our cultural diversity and showcase the beauty of our cultural creativity and ingenuity. It's the National Festival of Arts and Culture, NAFEST, in the Garden City of Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Come, let's celebrate our culture and heritage. Hold it 20th to 27th October 2018. Special features, dance drama, traditional wrestling, indigenous textiles and cuisine, arts and crafts exhibition, entrepreneurship roundtable, skills acquisition, and many more. 20th to 27th October 2018. Be a part of history. It's NAFEST Rivers 2018, the festival that unites the nation. Otumba Olusegun Runshewe, DG National Council for Arts and Culture.
Kehinde suffers from indigestion. His twin Tayi suffers from heartburn.
Sometimes it's the other way around, or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts for up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action.
Your perfect family is under threat by germs. Infectious diseases are now the world's biggest killer of adults and children. These infectious diseases are caused by germs. They are everywhere. An average human being comes in contact with over 1 million germs daily in unclean water, dirty surfaces, in the toilets, on cuts and wounds, on your clothes. Germs can cause deadly diseases like typhoid, diarrhea, flu, and cough. To protect your family from germs, use the power of Dettol's 1 capsule for surface cleaning in your bathing water, in your laundry water, for first aid to protect your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Introducing Dettol Antiseptic Liquid in Sachet for only 40 naira.
Endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association.
Guy, make I rush go pay for my Go TV now like this.
Now say your leg dey scratch you. You know see say Cookie Teller pay point today here say if you pay Go TV here. My brother go that place to go pay because Cookie Teller pay point. Now you pay pass.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Thank you for staying with us on News Extra. Talking business now, World Economic Forum moves Nigeria's economic profile 10th place up in its September index report among 140 countries, as Nigeria's upper chamber urges the Apex Bank to suspend ATM maintenance charges by commercial banks. Let's join Abolade Salami for details of these and more on Business News.
Glad to have you join us on the Business News segment. The economic reform agenda of the present administration is yielding positive results. This is as a result of the new Global Competitiveness Index released for the month of September. The country moved up 10 places to rank 115th position globally amongst 140 countries. The annual report indicates that the country improved in infrastructure, macroeconomic stability, institution, ICT adoption, and in health.
Longer time series progress in terms of both health condition and education to some extent. However, we're still looking at a picture where, for example, in Nigeria, the life expectancy free of disabilities and illnesses is about 56 years on average per inhabitant.
Meanwhile, the macroeconomic fundamental, according to a fixed income expert, has improved from its performance in Q2, where it dropped to 1.5% from the previous. He said in terms of macroeconomic stability, it is expected that external accounts remains stable.
Lower to 1.9%. In 2019 rather, we expect growth to improve marginally to around 2.2 to 2.3% in the year. That will be driven by expected recovery in the agricultural sector as well as the oil and gas sector. But over the medium term, we think growth will remain below 3% or 3%. If we do not see the level of reforms that the market is anticipating to unlock improvements in productivity in the economy.
In the meantime, the upper chamber of the National Assembly, through a resolution, has instructed the Central Bank of Nigeria to suspend maintenance charge deducted by commercial banks for use of ATM cards. The Senate also called on commercial banks operating in the country to reset their machines in order to dispense up to 40,000 naira per withdrawal, instead of the current 10,000 naira being dispensed by most machines. And now let's take you to the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange to see how stocks were traded this Wednesday. Doc Makot Report concludes Business News segment. News Extra continues shortly. Please stay with us.
Thank you, Abolade. Now, are you aware that the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja's recent rating as best in safety in Africa is capable of reducing premium paid by airlines? Good news for airlines and passenger fares, I hope. Now, let's go over to the airport to hear the benefits of the safety rating of the Abuja International Airport with Emmanuel Ayimiro.
A one-week extensive safety evaluation of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport Abuja to know its level of compliance was conducted by a team of Airports Council International in September this year. Here are some of the benefits of the safety rating.
The traveling public will have confidence in traveling at the airport with the airline. Then the insurance is going to reduce in as much as accident will be reduced to the BRS minimum. So you pay less premium on insurance because of this certification.
Great is a nice one, I must say, and I hope we'll keep it up actually. For the reward of good work is more work.
Passengers also raised concern on the need to carry out risk assessment from time to time so as to close any gap that can pose security or safety risk.
This is a clear call on the management of the airport to maintain the tempo and at least carry it to the next stage so as there won't be depreciation in what we've attained so far. Certainly, those that are managing this place can as well extend the same level of commitment that is extended to Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport to all other airports, so as the rating will be on the same footing.
Now that Abuja Airport has received the award for Best Improved in Safety in Africa in 2018 at the ongoing 27th Airports Council International in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire during their general annual meeting, innovations and technologies to respond to security and cyber threats while facilitating passengers to the terminal are expected to be domesticated to sustain the improved safety. Emmanuel Ayimiro, NTA News.
Good news indeed for air travelers. Now, the need to create a maritime-friendly environment devoid of insecurity was the focus of the 2018 World Maritime Day celebration, which coincides with the International Maritime Organization's 70th anniversary. The event afforded industry watchers the opportunity to analyze the achievements and challenges in the sector. Paul Omukago has details.
IMO 70, our heritage, better shipping for a better future, reflected on the future of the maritime industry. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, represented by Minister of State, Power, Works and Housing, reassured stakeholders of federal government's commitment to ensuring safety and security in the sector.
Maritime crime is an organized one with elements all over the world. We must therefore drum up the need for regional and sub-regional collaboration at IMO meetings and at other forums.
Minister of Transportation, who was also represented, apt on a frontal approach for a safe, secure and efficient shipping industry.
With a coastline of 852 kilometers bordering the Atlantic Ocean in the Gulf of Guinea and a maritime area of over 46,000 square kilometers, Nigeria is no doubt a maritime destination.
Critical to industry watchers at this year's celebration is creating a safer, secured, sustainable, and a friendly maritime domain. In Lagos, Paul Omukago, NTA News.
As the world marks the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty, Nigerians are calling on government at all levels to strengthen social investment programs and improve on implementation of policies that will reduce poverty in the country. Joy Ken Abakpoya has details.